Okay guys, back down here for the fourth time. Today's date is November 12th. We're 3 weeks and 2 days from the time that the remains were, discovered. And so we're just going to take another trip and kind of retrace everything that we've done in prior trips. And if we see anything interesting, we'll point it out. Saw a couple bikers down here, a couple people. Today's a Friday, so there's doesn't seem to be a lot of people here. Did see some park maintenance. There's a really cool big bird sitting on the bridge up there. We'll see how long he stays sitting there. We had a little bit of rain yesterday, Sarasota area. So I came down a little later today. Looks like it was raining down here this morning, just probably a light type of rain, nothing too heavy. So it looks like we'll have a little bit of water levels. There's the nice big bird on the bridge. Hopefully he'll let me across. See if we got any gators. Now there's the area, once again, where we thought maybe it's a possibility that he parked the Mustang, Brian did. That truck over there ironically looks like Chris's. Not sure if it is or not. And so we made our bird mad. This was his bridge. Yeah, there's the truck. Can't tell what, looks like it's got painted door handles. I can't remember if Chris's has silver or painted door handles. But anyway, we just crossed the bridge. Water levels look to be, well, we'll get a better idea once we get up here. One thing I want to point out as we approach the Big Slough Preserve access here, I went through numerous footage, like flyover from the local news stations, and I found some footage. Here we are at the Big Slough Preserve trailhead. Once again, your map with all your locations. We're heading up the Powerline Trail. Back to the, what I found interesting is I found footage from September 18th, the day after Brian was officially reported missing. And it was not totally dry, but it was really dry. And they were in here searching for him. I found, if you look, Fox 13 out of Tampa, they have about 30-minute footage, flyover footage, commentary of them doing a search. Specifically, this area here had a small puddle right there in the little ditch. This is the Live Long Return trail. That's where you come out. The water levels were definitely low. So what that tells me is the week that Brian took off, which we now, according to the parents, was changed to the 13th. So that week, because a lot of us were wondering, if the water's so deep, how in the heck did Brian get up where he did? Well, once you see that footage, I would say that the water levels were probably about like they are today. So he would have had many choices to get up there. Now, I did note when the chopper was flying around down here at the Big Slough, the Live Long Trailhead, and at the Big Slough Canal, there was water in that low area that I always point out each time we get here. Let me see how close the Big Slough Bridge is. It's just real close. My camera just makes everything look far away. But anyway, there was probably, I'd say, about a 20-foot circle of water, possibly knee-deep. I feel like the search team could have easily walked through that area. It's just unfortunate they didn't, because in that same footage, there's 2 or 3 ATVs with 2 people on each, And they literally drove up here, parked on the Big Slough Canal bridge. They went over and looked into the Prosper Trail side of things, which is on the, if you're facing north up, would be on the right hand side of the Big Slough Canal, and then the Livelong Trail is on the left hand side of the canal. They kind of stood there on Powerline Trail, looked at the area, but never went up any of these trails. They were literally here at the entrance, and they could have turned their ATVs and literally drove up over the hill right to where he was. At that time, had he ended his life, depending on the wind direction, you think they would have even possibly smelled, could have possibly smelled a corpse, because it's not that far up there from here. I'd say about 1,000 feet, a little over, about the length of a drag strip, quarter mile, and you're up there. So pretty sure in the right conditions you would be able to smell, remains. Water looks to be about the same as it was last week when I was down here a week ago. Maybe even a little lower, actually. I figured it'd be a little higher. We'll see what it looks like once we get up here. So back to the, they were sitting right here on this bridge, right there, Big Slough Canal Bridge. And if you watch that footage, just do a YouTube search, Fox 13 out of Tampa, September 18th, and you will see what I mean. Right down in here, they were right here. They literally drove their ATVs right through here, looked in here as they were driving by, but never crossed it. I'd say there was maybe at the most ankle to knee deep water, and probably a circle from here to the other side, which is about 20 feet. So this, like right in here, would have all, been, but it'd have been easily, if you have any kind of gear on, you could have walked through it, no problem. So that's very unfortunate that they did not notice that or decide to come up through here. Now, a week later, when they, maybe it was a week and a half later, because they kind of started focusing up on the Venice side of things, like after that, like the week of the 23rd, 24th, they started, and there's the Livelong trailhead. There's the primitive trail over there. We're walking up the Livelong access trail. They focused their search on that Carlton Reserve, which is 9 miles away. Very flooded up there, but I did see aerial footage of this area on WFLA 8 out of Tampa. So you can YouTube search that. And so the week of the 23rd, this definitely was flooded. Where we came across the bridge down there, to the Big Slough Preserve, like where you enter Powerline Trail, from that bridge was completely underwater up over Powerline Trail. It was over Powerline Trail right here where we just entered Livelong Trail. So it was definitely waist deep at the opening. But remember, that was 10-ish days after, about 10 days after, Brian was reported officially missing on the 17th. And then they had to deal with all that high water in here that entire time. So that's probably when stuff, if he did come up here right away, end his life, that explains he was up here floating around. That explains why everything's scattered, along with the wildlife, but causing that too. But that explains why everything kind of ended up in the area that it did, because it was definitely deep water up here. There's plenty of footage from that time period, that last week of September, that this area was totally flooded. So initially they had a whole week, up to 10 days, from when he went missing on the 13th officially reported on the 17th, but they had about roughly 10 days that they could have came in here, and had they focused on this specific area, there is no question that they would have either found him alive or found him deceased. I totally believe that now. After, like I said, you can go find that footage for yourself and you'll see exactly what I mean. So I was surprised actually to see that they were actually in the right area on September 18th, the day after he was officially reported missing. I found that interesting. So that means the parents told them the right area. But I think, you know, the fact that they were being a little disingenuous with the law enforcement, and, you know, and handing them their attorney's card from the beginning, it probably didn't take, you know, they probably didn't take them too serious at first. And for some reason, they got hooked on that 9 miles west up to the Carlton Reserve area. I'm just not, you know, we just don't really know why that was. Also, I feel like they started to wonder if Brian didn't take off from the DeSoto Park, because that was about the same time frame when the water got deep down here, you know, that they found out that they were up there at that camping trip. So I think they started to possibly think this was all just a ruse to get them looked down here for Brian, and he wasn't, you know, because I felt that way too. I was like, he's not down there. He took off from that island up at DeSoto Park. Come to find out, he actually was in here. So the parents did tell them right from the beginning where to look. So, you know, they were definitely here on the 18th, and they were literally at the beginning of this livelong trail access road. They had 3 ATVs, and they could have made a right-hand turn and drove right up here, and probably either found him alive or at least smelled something. I'd say we're about halfway up. I'm keeping an eye out for wildlife, of course. It's a little warmer today, so I had to wear shorts. I do have my jacket on just in case it rains, but I can tell I'm already getting a little hot. But let me just check out the beautiful scenery up here. What I'm basically going to do is just revisit all the areas again, see what we can still see, you know, 3 weeks later. I have a pretty good indication of how the water flows up here now, so it's really making sense. I'm still sticking with my initial thought that he did something over in that tree swing area, and due to the water levels, because it drains right behind this wood line here, it's a huge kind of swamp area. And up here where last week when I showed you that little bit of a drainway, canalish type area where the water was draining, that path that water was is where all the evidence circles are marked along that, and his remains were found literally in that canal on the other side of that field, or that drainage area. So that makes me believe that, because I'll go back to once again, when we came up here on the 23rd, 2 days, or the next morning after they opened the park, there was items that looked very similar, such as material. We saw like a hiker's bottle, not the one that they found that was Gabby's, but another one. Some lighters. I don't know. It was just random stuff, but I definitely remember the pieces of it, because we thought, you know, that's probably Brian's clothing over there at the tree swing. So why would that stuff be clear over there and his remains clear over there? So I'm still going with that theory until someone with authority, law enforcement, whatever, comes out and tells us something different. Maybe the laundries will, I don't know. That's a pretty area back there. And keeping an eye out, it seems eerily quiet today up here. Kind of spooky in a weird kind of way. Doesn't appear to be as much water laying on the trail as it was last week when I came up. So we may not have those water paths that we had last week. Another pretty area. You know, to kind of go by. But I've got a pretty good idea of how the water flowed. I really feel confident in that. Seen some deer tracks, fresh ones. Might kick out a deer. Yeah, it's definitely a lot muggier today. Feels like it could rain and downpour at any moment. And anybody that has been in Florida knows that that rain can just come out of nowhere. This area here, if you sneak through here, I did this last week, it literally pops you right in. Right over there, about 50 to 75 feet is the tree swing. So I found that kind of cool. And we think that might be one of the footages we seen where Chris turned and went in on his search. Not where he found the dry bag, but that's just, you know, we're pretty sure we matched up that area as well, because it goes right to that tree swing. So I think he came up here with the point, or the purpose, of looking for the tree swing. This is the area somewhere through here. We are now at the crime scene, basically. We're just in the beginning of it. But somewhere right through here, I've seen other people's theories, you know, I guess, ideas where Chris went in. I guess they actually talked to the Fox News guy, so they probably would have a better idea, but I still can't find it. But it's somewhere through here. Because if you go in there, that 70 to 75 feet-ish is where those evidence circles will be. So I'm thinking it might have been right here where he kind of went in. But I'm going to do a little looking around, and then because I noticed some little landmarks that from other people's reportings where he went in. So I'm going to see if I can locate those. And then I'll point them out instead of just aimlessly shooting footage. But once again, here's the tree swing area. And then that area I was telling you, back right around that corner, you can walk into the backside. And you can see, but right there's the tree swing. See that opening? Looks like there's something laying in there. Huh. Let's go check that out. But there's the tree swing. Very close. Like I said, I could throw my stick like a javelin with a medium type heave and it would land right over there. So it's not that far. And what we'll do is I'm going to just do what I usually do. I'm going to walk up to where the crooked tent was. And then I'll probably shut down. And I just saw either a deer or a pig over there. I saw something just run out of that brush over there. Okay, the water levels are definitely lower, but you can see back there, they're still, so at least I can follow that now. But if you remember last week, this was all, we actually put them palm fronds there so the gal that was with us, she could walk across. But this was all, you know, 2 to 4 inches of water all the way down through here. So that explains, and the interesting thing is all those evidence circles follow this water path down through there. So that tells you they were floating and then just dispersing as they got hung up. So that totally makes sense. Everything's in that nice, neat little row, ending with the remains out there in that field. Okay, we're walking up here to where the crooked tent was. And once again, I'll retouch on that. I totally feel, yeah, it was probably a deer. There's absolutely fresh deer tracks right here that I saw over there. That I feel this roped off area with the crime scene tape and the crooked tent, that was just a ruse to keep the media focused out here while they were back that direction doing their crime scene investigation. Because there's absolutely, I mean, multiple people. There's been people, many people walking through here. We've literally not found anything at all. And that's what gives me the good also indication that I think we're correct. See, here's that turnaround area, that he did something over here that direction at the tree swing, because nothing has been reported found up here. Nothing. Not by curiosity seekers, not by law enforcement, nobody. Nobody's found nothing up in this area where the crooked tent was. So that makes sense. Everything was found from the tree swing area. Over there's Big Slough Canal. See the tree line? See that big palm tree right there in the middle? Just on the other side, that tree line, that's Big Slough Canal. And about right there's the tree swing. So if you follow that water path all the way to the backfield where the remains were found, at that pinned location, that's makes totally sense. That everything, so there's nothing, I mean, I'm not saying he wasn't up here wandering around and ditched, you know, maybe their phones, ditched a few items that might be laying out there in that field, but so that could be a possibility. He threw some stuff out in there, but that just, now that would have been water out in there. He might have walked out. I don't know if you guys can notice the color change, but out there's where that gator, a guy with a drone caught footage of a gator out in there. So you could go walking out across there, next thing you know, you're up to your waist in water. So we'll have to wait till things like later this year when you know it's dry to go out there and look for stuff. And I'm sure other people's probably that are braver than I am. I just try to use common sense when it comes to this stuff, because like I said, you got to be careful of this Florida wildlife. And the big stuff that I can see, I can deal with that. It's the stupid snakes out there in that water that worry me. Or even stepping on an alligator, because those things will lay in shallow water. That's how they catch their prey. They'll lay and bury themselves in the mud and then wait till you step on them, and then they jump up out of the mud and they grab you and eat you. So you gotta be careful of that. But yeah, so I'll walk over here and give you a quick shot of the water, and then we'll shut down, and then I'll go see what I can find. But last week this was all full of water, or not full, but this canal type drain area. So you can see the water definitely flows this direction just by looking at the grass and this, just the way things are pointing. Then our evidence, our crime circles, evidence circles are going to be right up here. But once again, you can, water's definitely a lot lower than it was last week. We had a hard time just getting through here, through this specific area actually. Okay, that over there should be the one crime circle, evidence circle. Let me see if I can find an easy spot to, well, actually I'm going to stay on this side. We'll go over here to this one first. And we'll quickly revisit the three. But right there's one of them. Right there, where those sticks are kind of laying. The next one is down there where that low branch is kind of hanging. And then the other one should be right over here. We'll walk back here and we'll see quick. Yeah, it's right here. See if we can still see orange paint. Oh yeah, I can see a little bit of orange paint. right in here. See